The internet is on fire. Furthermore, this is no typical scandal, it's heartbreak. In real time, betrayal and unadulterated passion are exploding. Jim Jones, the individual who established his reputation on devotion, love, ride the door, and after standing behind Chrissy Lampkin for 20 years, he has now spoken up. Furthermore, the words he spoke were more than mere declarations, they were daggers. Fans are still in shock after Chrissy's wedding revelation, but Jim's answer, it's being referred to as the most heartbreaking breakdown in the history of hip-hop relationships. 20 years. 20 years of pledges, suggestions, public conflicts, then personal reconciliations, and everything was destroyed in one startling turn. 2 decades of Chrissy's life, according to fans, were wasted, and in front of our eyes, the man who once declared she would be his forever is disintegrating. When Chrissy stunned everyone, entering the reunion recording and making the shocking declaration, "I'm married," the stillness that ensued wasn't just silence, it was heartbreak on 4K television. Jim froze, producers became terrified, and the strain that makes your chest hurt was sensed by the audience. And now Jim has finally spoken up after days of leaks, speculations, and unending conjecture. This incident has become much more than a reality TV moment because of what he said and disclosed. We're talking about industry betrayal, hidden texts, leaking voicemails, and a truth that might destroy everything. Stay put because I'm going to tell you something that will make you tremble. I'm married, Chrissy Lampkin declared as she entered the reunion stage. Fans were no longer merely viewing reality TV. Time had stopped. 2 decades of affection were on display. Silence and sacrifice explode in real time on camera. Jim Jones remained unflinching, didn't move or blink. In the history of hip-hop and love, his quiet was louder than any swear word, battle, or mic drop. However, what came next? The recordings, the leaks, and the subsequent betrayal. This was a reunion. But a minute later, it became a worldwide controversy. An unidentified Instagram account named The Picked Industry Leaks was the source of the first crack. A few hours following the recording, they purportedly left a message from Jim. He spoke in a strained, nearly the 14-second video went viral as he told a friend, "She ain't even give me the chance. Bro, I had the ring, I had the whole plan, she ain't let me breathe." Every pause and sigh was analyzed by Twitter users. Some even said that you could hear glass clinking in the distance. Was Jim intoxicated when he left that message? It was described by bloggers as the sound of a man whose heart had, after 20 years of pressure, it eventually cracked. Fans kept playing it over and over. While some people posted cruel memes making fun of his sorrow, others wept in sympathy. The SMS messages followed. Screenshots of the alleged shade room appeared between Jim and his mom. "She ought to have waited, Mama Jones." The purported response from Mama Jones was, "I was gone. Do it right this time." She waited. Jimmy long enough. 20 years, you can't expect her to remain motionless. Boy, fans went crazy by the encounter. Mama Jones is supporting Chrissy, the same Mother Jones, with whom she once had a TV feud. What did that indicate about the extent of Jim's procrastination, if even she acknowledged Chrissy was justified? There were armies on the internet. Within hours, the hashtag justice for Jim became popular, with supporters claiming he was taken by surprise and unprepared. Others united under the hashtag Team Chrissy, arguing that her tolerance had long since worn thin. Sis proposed to him in 2011. He had 13 years to match her energy, said a widely shared post. "Don't cry right now," someone else retorted. He was going to do it. He lost that opportunity because of her. This is not empowerment, but treachery. The conflict of fans posted vintage photos of every engagement, dramatic altercation, and heartfelt reconciliation, making the language harsh. It seemed as though everyone on the internet was watching their whole relationship again in real time, assembling the evidence to determine who was right, wrong, and wasted, whose life. However, fans weren't the biggest revelation. It originated backstage. During a disagreement, a videographer hired to capture behind-the-scenes footage unintentionally left his camera rolling. Within a day, the video was leaked to TikTok. It shows security racing behind Jim as he storms inside Chrissy's dressing area with his voice up. "You've just left. Let me have that." In front of all, he said, "No call, no warning, no nothing." Without hesitation, Chrissy snapped back, remaining seated in her fancy chair. "Jimmy, be careful. For 20 years, I have been cautioning you. You've simply never listened. I was sick of pleading with you to pick me. At last, I made my own decision." Even though the video ended suddenly, it was enough to ignite social media. On one side, a man was publicly humiliated, robbed of his opportunity. In the other, After decades of disappointment, a woman regained her dignity. The whisper that followed made the situation even more chaotic. There was more to Chrissy's new spouse than meets the eye. Insiders claimed that he had spent years in their social circle. Fans were looking through old pictures, circling persons in the background, and speculating about which longtime friend had become the new husband, just based on that story. Names began to trend. Conspiracy threads accumulated on Reddit, and bloggers pledged to expose the truth. This was more than heartbreak. If the claims were true, this betrayal came from people in their own social group. Jim, however, remained silent. He didn't post anything. For a man who is known for speaking his opinion, there are no mysterious subtitles, subtweets, or even song lyrics. There was an overwhelming quiet. Supporters conjectured that he was broken. Some said he was plotting. At last, he emerged. Jim went live on Instagram late at night. It was dark in the room. He was free of his bonds. Defeat weighed heavily on his voice. Everyone was talking about how 20 years had been wasted. Perhaps she ought to have moved on from me long ago. But please don't tell me that I don't love her. Every day, I cherished that woman. I simply don't know how to convey it the way she desired. And she's gone now. The remarks went by so quickly that they became hazy. His honesty was commended by some. His timing was ridiculed by others. However, another leak occurred before everyone had a chance to catch their breath. Notorious for releasing bombshells, Tasha K released a purported studio recording of Jim rapping confessional-sounding lines. "I wore shame, and she wore white. Nothing has changed in 20 years. My queen was lost. My name was lost." Fans didn't care if it was a freestyle or an unreleased song. They regarded it as gospel. According to some, it was the most vulnerable thing he had ever made. He was accused by some of using his suffering as a publicity gimmick. Fans' reactions continued. A mysterious Instagram tale was shared by Rashida. "Don't wait decades to get what you deserve. Ladies, Yandi told her fans live today. This is why you set boundaries early. You can't wait forever." Mama D added, referring to Chrissy's wedding as the clapback of the century. Celebrities were adding fuel to the fire rather than merely observing. However, another unexpected turn of events occurred just as the story was beginning to stabilize. A purportedly leaked email from a VH1 producer appeared on the internet. According to the email, it was decided to keep Chrissy's marriage a secret from Jim in order to maximize the impact. Even though Chrissy had reported it to production weeks prior to filming, one sentence from fans were taken aback by the email, which said, "This will be the moment that defines the season." This was more than a betrayal on a personal level. The setting was expertly done. Not only had Chrissy caught Jim off guard, but the very network that established his legacy in reality TV. All of a sudden, boycotts were being planned. Fans demanded responsibility from VH1 and threatened to stop watching. Some defended the network, claiming that Jim had made money off of reality TV drama for years and was now only receiving it. Jim's reputation was at stake as the argument continued. Jim shared a black and white picture of himself and Chrissy from 2007. Just when everyone thought the storm couldn't get much darker, the caption was straightforward: "Forever, my lady, even if it's no longer mine." In a single day, that post received over 1 million likes. Heartbreak, nostalgia, and rage poured into the comments from fans. Some pleaded with Chrissy to change her mind. Others urged Jim to let her go at last, but the murmurs persisted. Jim wasn't finished. According to sources, that he was discreetly getting ready for a big interview in which he would divulge everything. Each battle, every betrayal, every secret Chrissy believed would remain unspoken. Fans were waiting for the next shoe to drop while holding their breath due to the rumor. Would Jim be able to take back control of the story? Or would this reveal everything, destroy him entirely? This saga's first chapter ended with a terrifying notion. This was more than a breakup. This was the demise of a romantic tale that had shaped reality television for many years. Jim's next action has the potential to either permanently end his legacy or remake history, change the course of history, or permanently end his legacy. Jim Jones's late-night Instagram Live caused a backlash that didn't merely simmer but exploded. The things he said, the tears he attempted to refrain, and the ensuing quiet was sufficient to start a second wave of havoc on the internet. However, this time, sympathy did not spread on the internet. Because Jim was the one who propagated this. There was mistrust. It was mistrust because, at the same moment that Jim attempted to reclaim his truth, a new batch of leaks surfaced, threatening to completely upend the narrative. It all began with an enigmatic video that was uploaded by an unidentified account named VH1 Receipts. In the video, Jim might be heard during a contentious phone conversation with a man who followers immediately recognized as one of his closest business associates. His tone was defensive and acerbic. "Tell me she wouldn't blindside me. Please. I'm new. I simply don't want the cameras to find out. Give her a brief moment." A flurry of inquiries was raised by those 19 seconds. Was Jim's quiet during the reunion shocking or calculated? If he had known about Chrissy's marriage beforehand, fans immediately parted ways. Some claimed the call was staged in order to humiliate him. Others insisted that he wasn't taken by surprise because of the distinct tone in his voice. They outplayed him. "Are you trying to tell me? He knew, and he still let her break the internet. Now that's performance art," said one widely shared tweet. "Nah, he just saving face," said another. "That's what men do when they make mistakes." But before the internet could pick a side, the next blow arrived in the form of screenshots that were purportedly leaked from Chrissy's phone, displaying text messages between Chrissy and "I can't wait. Then let me give you the life you deserve. No waiting, no May." The texts were quick, but damn Chrissy, he'll never change. "Just us. Chrissy, you already have." The screenshots went viral. Who is M? Theories abounded, with some admirers claiming it was the famous architect Marcus Bellamy. Fans who had been clinging to the fairy tale of Chrissy and Jim were further enraged by the lack of clarity about Chrissy's reported spots at gatherings months before, with some speculating that it might be someone even closer to home. Those who applauded Chrissy's independence saw it as confirmation that she had finally chosen herself and someone else. While Jim's camp retaliated, the idea that another man had been offering her everything Jim couldn't was too much to handle. Within hours, a member of his entourage claimed in an anonymous interview with a gossip blog that the screenshots were contrived, false, and planted to make Jim appear weak. However, Tasha K doubled down and posted what she claimed to be a voice before the denial could gain traction. In the recording, Chrissy's voice faltered as she stated, "I didn't do this to hurt him." In a note to a friend, "I took this action to protect myself. That man gave me limbo after I gave him 20 years. Someone who made more than just promises was what I needed, offered me a future, but not a future." The internet was destroyed by the spill. Fans flooded Twitter with heartbreak, admiration, and anger all at once. One viral thread read, "20 years have been wasted. No, I spent 20 years investing in a man who never made a profit. She gave up." Another trended equally quickly, "She didn't have to degrade him by leaving." This was not peace, but retaliation. The most startling disclosure to date followed. A purportedly leaked email to VH1 producers from Jim's attorney. In it, Jim's team threatened legal action for emotional pain and character damage, accusing the network of purposefully arranging the reunion to embarrass him. There was only one terrifying line in the email: "You will be held accountable for destroying my client's legacy." If this video is broadcast uncensored, naturally, VH1 remained mute. But rumors circulated that the network was struggling behind the scenes, divided between keeping one of its greatest stars safe and taking advantage of the controversy to boost viewership. Chrissy eventually broke her silence, but it was with a picture rather than words. She shared a picture of her hand entwined with her husband's on Instagram. The wedding band glistened in the gentle light. The caption was straightforward, "I look nice in peace." The post received 500,000 likes in a matter of minutes. Her admirers showered her with congratulations, encouragement, and praise. However, in the same breath, some accused her of treating Jim cruelly, disrespectfully, and betraying him. Jim then said, not directly, not publicly, but through another leak, a voice memo surfaced. As though the universe had written his response, Jim allegedly vented, "She really left me, Ma," to Mama Jones. Mama Jones's response in the memo was nasty, real, and sincere. "The weird thing is that I thought I was going to surprise her with that ring, but she didn't even let me finish." Fans couldn't believe Mama Jones sided with Chrissy twice in 1 week, and the internet erupted once more. "Jimmy, you had 20 years to get the words out. You don't get to cry about time now." Memes flew. Hashtags trended. And the narrative changed once more. Jim wasn't just hurt. He was alone. But the betrayal went deeper because the same lady who had once argued with Chrissy on public TV was now her biggest offender. However, a former Love and Hip Hop producer came out to say that Jim had been given several chances to pop the question to Chrissy on camera with production, prepared to pay for grand lavish proposals. But he consistently turned them down because he wanted it on his terms. The dead discoveries stung fans who had witnessed Chrissy cry, plead, and even get on one knee herself. For many, it was the ultimate proof that Jim had squandered Chrissy's greatest years, the producer alleged. The problem is, those terms never came. But Jim wasn't done yet. Late one evening, he posted a freestyle on SoundCloud called Forever Ain't Forever. The song's words, "You said I do, I said I will," were cutting, resentful, and devastating. In a matter of hours, the song went to the top of trending topics. 20 years later, that promise still stands, but you walked away. I lost the fight. Guess I was wrong not to do it right. Before the dust could settle, an insider shared a blurry photo purportedly of Jim leaving a private dinner with none other than Camila Joles, Santana's wife and Chrissy's old friend. People wept, analyzed, and discussed whether it was art or manipulation. Fans were left wondering if Jim was already moving on, if this was a revenge rebound, or if it was just a coincidence. Neither Jim nor Camila addressed the image, which was blurry and lacked context. However, the conjecture was sufficient to shatter the internet once more. By the end of the week, it was evident that Chrissy was at peace, Jim was in misery, and the fans were seeing the collapse of a 20-year tale. But the stakes were higher than ever, the whispers louder, and the leaks more persistent, because, according to insiders, the biggest bombshell had not yet been revealed. One producer teased a gossip blog, "You think have you witnessed the conclusion? No. Everyone's perspective on this narrative will change once the biggest secret, which hasn't even been revealed yet, is revealed." The next explosion was about to happen. One thing was certain. Would VH1's manipulation controversy blow the lid off everything? Would Jim finally release the receipts he'd been threatening to dump? Or would Chrissy's husband's identity be finally revealed? The internet believed it had seen everything: the leaked voicemails, the screenshots, the freestyle, but the story of Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin wasn't coming to an end. The final wave of leaks threatened to destroy friendships, reputations, and legacies that had been solidified in addition to exposing grief. So it was building toward a climax for which no one was ready. Hip-hop culture for many years. The first strike of this last act came from a blog called Harlem Truths, a little gossip site that managed to obtain a video that no one anticipated seeing. The blurry videotape, purportedly recorded in 1971 but kept in Chrissy's family archives, featured a teenage Chrissy holding a newborn in Harlem. The VHS box had a scrawled message that said, "Jimmy never knew." Within minutes, the video went viral on Twitter. Was this real? Was Chrissy clinging to a decades-old hidden kid she had with Jim? A decades-old secret child with Jim. Scanned letters, purportedly written by Chrissy to a confidant in the late 90s, were revealed by Harlem Truths within hours. Fans gasped when Sass said, "I keep waiting on him to be a man, but my child deserves more than broken promises." The letters rekindled the suspicion that Chrissy had nurtured a child in secret while waiting for Jim to intervene, concealing the facts to keep them safe from the public glare. If this child was real, were fans speculating that Jim was the father? Was this the reason Chrissy eventually left and got married to someone else? Jim broke his. He said, "I don't know nothing about no secret kid," while sitting in a studio with shiny chains and tired eyes. There was quiet once more, this time via a heated Instagram Live that reached over 150,000 viewers. "That woman has been the love of my life, and she picked another man. That's it. Don't start changing history to make me seem like a villain." The timing, the quietness, the footage, and his strong statements all suggested a larger plot, but viewers weren't persuaded. Then came the shock of all shocks. Chrissy's child. Now and the message was very clear. "I am Chrissy Lampkin's child. I won't say who my father is. That's not important, right?" The adult went live with their face blurred for privacy and their voice slightly garbled. "Right now, it doesn't matter. What counts is my mother's tranquility. She deserves to be happy and to be set free from the bonds of her past." Fans grieved, screamed, and fought when the broadcast rocked the internet. If Jim wasn't the father, then who was? If he was, how could this secret have remained hidden for more than 50 years? As the world reeled, Harlem Truth struck again, releasing according to hacked emails purportedly between VH1 executives. The network had been aware of Chrissy's child for years but purposefully concealed the plot to maintain Jim's fanbase and boost ratings. One producer reportedly commented, "If this ever gets out, we're done." The allegations caused shockwaves through the entertainment world. Celebrities weighed in, and fans demanded a boycott of VH1, accusing them of profiting off the exploitation and silencing of black women's tales. "These networks don't care about us," tweeted Rashida. "They never give a damn about our reality. They only care about drama. This is why I detest the industry." Cardi B said, "Live. They select what they gain from the story and ignore us." Yon Dandy added, "This is all I have to say. Chrissy is deserving of better. Period." Chrissy was apparently heartbroken behind the scenes. According to one insider, She sobbed during a private conversation with a friend, saying, "This was never supposed to happen like this." Insiders said she never meant for her child to be thrust into the spotlight. "I desired tranquility. Peace was unattainable, but it didn't make headlines. Blood had been detected on the internet, and they were refusing to let go." Meanwhile, Jim's team went on the defense, with his attorneys purportedly preparing statements. There were speculations that Jim was thinking of doing a live DNA test on television to finally put an end to the allegations. Fans were divided. Some pleaded with him not to give in to reality. They demanded proof of paternity and retaliated against what they called a smear campaign intended to damage his reputation. TV theatrics. Others craved the spectacle. But Yandhi revealed another piece of the jigsaw when she reposted an old footage from Love and Hip Hop on her Instagram story. Just when it looked like the fire couldn't get much hotter, Yandhi added a mysterious caption on Chrissy's plea for Jim to settle down and create a family, implying that Chrissy wasn't just asking for herself. The inference was terrible. The anger against Jim grew, and hashtags like #JimNews and number 20 years squandered began to trend. They were about the future, about the child she was already raising in silence. "She gave him loyalty, love, and time," said one widely shared post. "He explained things to her. 20 years have passed. She was deserving of better." Another questioned whether he was truly aware of this child, and yet the last twist was that a leaked audio tape purportedly from a private phone conversation between Jim and Chrissy dated. Jim's voice was raw in the video, begging, "Just don't do me like that on TV." Just weeks before the reunion was filmed, "Chris, you already know how it will appear. I adore you, even if you know I'm not perfect." Chrissy's response was sad, chilly, and unwavering. "I can't live on potential anymore. You love me in words, Cammy, never in deed." The audio shattered any last illusions. Fans swamped Chrissy's page with praise and support. For the first time in his career, the Dipet icon was portrayed not as Harlem's hero but as the antagonist of his own love tale. Jim's remarks, on the other hand, were replete with charges of manipulation, time wastage, and emotional neglect. Fans demanded answers and threatened to boycott future seasons if VH1 didn't address the leaks. Meanwhile, reports circulated that Jim was in talks for a tell-all documentary to present his side of the story. Whether it Chrissy appeared unconcerned, posting a calm picture of herself on a beach with waves crashing behind her and her wedding ring sparkling in the sunlight days after the pandemonium occurred. It was unclear whether this would preserve his reputation or further damage it. The last straw was the caption, which said, "Closure looks good on me." She was free and didn't look back or explain. The story didn't end there though. When admirers saw Jim outside a studio late one evening with his hoodie up and his head down while paparazzi cursed, "Forever ain't forever," he whispered to himself. In a matter of minutes, the picture became global, debating whether Jim was getting ready to make a comeback or crumbling under the weight of his past. Then, in an unexpected cliffhanger, Harlem Truths hinted at one final leak. A single mysterious post-DNA findings tomorrow. Stay tuned. The question that had plagued followers for weeks, was Jim Jones really the father of Chrissy Lannon's child? Or had 20 years been squandered chasing a dream could finally be answered if this was the case? And the internet froze. That was never his in the first place. The stage was set for the big reveal. The romance that shaped reality TV for a generation wasn't simply finished. It was broken, shattered, and rewritten in front of everyone. And there you have it, family. The story we weren't supposed to hear. The reality VH1 attempted to hide, and the receipts that wouldn't go away. Everyone knew the biggest explosion was still to come. This isn't just rumors. Jim Jones's silence was broken. Chrissy's article was made public. The face of a secret child appeared online, and a DNA bombshell was promised for tomorrow. If you blink, you'll miss the moment as history is being rewritten in real time. Consider this. Did Chrissy waste 20 years waiting for a man who never came up? Or did Jim spend 20 years acting as though he had an endless amount of time to get it right? And who will be left devastated and who will be vindicated when that DNA test is released and the last piece of the puzzle is discovered? If you think Chrissy has finally found closure, click the like button now. If you want to be here when the truth is revealed, hit the subscribe button. I assure you that the next chapter will be louder, messier, and more startling than anything we've seen thus far. Please share your thoughts here. Team Jim, Team Chrissy, or Team Truth at any cost. Because one thing is certain, the receipts are still arriving. Additionally, when they hit, you'll want to be in the front row. Remain confined. This is not the end of the narrative. It's just getting started. End of the narrative. It's just getting started.